One of the worst sports days in my history. Maybe Sam's too. Still, let's talk basketball. Wow, that hurt. Sam?
Yes, sir.
Can I even tell you that the Giants winning today, even the way they won, kind of made today worse?
I have to tell you, I would normally be like, yo, what is he talking about? I, I kind of feel the same way.
I'm trying to get this through this period of time as a Giants fan, and I know this team needs talent. It needs high end, upper echelon talent. Like, good teams have elite players in a couple of positions. And the Giants have no elite players, and the one elite player they do have is always hurt.
Yep.
He can't catch a break. And trickling down from that sadness is the Jets' sadness.
Oh, yeah.
Also,
That one.
Manchester United's sadness.
I was a big Liverpool fan, so I saw the score.
Oh, what a kick in the stomach. I'm getting it in all time zones. I mean, and you with the Mets.
Yeah, they're still without a manager, still without a head of baseball operations. No one wants to work for them. It's all like the Nets. At least you could say, even if every single player on the team got hurt, I'd be like, oh, we have an owner and a GM that I like. The Mets don't have anything. It's rough.
So, I mean, the whole thing with the Nets, and this is a Nets podcast, so let's move on to the Nets. The whole thing starts, like, for me, I knew it was going to be a bad day when it starts with, I don't even think protest is the right word for it, Sam. What would you call it?
I mean, yeah, no, I want you, because me and you were texting during it, or I guess as you were on your way out, and I actually think like what you and your son Trey experienced today is actually like a really crazy, unfortunate, but also like interesting thing for a father and son to experience going to a home opener. And I know Trey is obviously on the verge of becoming like one of the biggest Nets fans, and specifically a Brooklyn Nets fan we've had. And so I think you describing like that process is actually pretty interesting.
Dude, I walk up Green Avenue. I'm from Bed-Stuy. I live right on the borderline of Bed-Stuy and Clinton Hill. And Barclays Center is it's Bed-Stuy, Clinton Hill, Fort Greene. Like it's a little walk. Not as nice of a walk as my old apartment, but which was 4 blocks, and where I lived when Barclays first opened, used to be amazing. Just going to games from there. But still, me and my son, we have our tradition. We walk up to the games, and we might stop and get ice cream, or we might have dinner, or whatever it is. Just it's our time. This time we left late, so there was no time for any of that, and we just was trying to get there. And we usually turn up South Portland to go through the American Express entrance. So now I'm about to turn on South Portland, and I look, and I say to myself, "Oh shit! Like, there's a lot of Charlotte fans here." I was like, I can't believe it. They're they think it's a parking lot. One of the back streets in Brooklyn. Like they think it's they're tailgating out here. Was my first thought. Cause no way, like, am I thinking, oh, it's a protest. Oh, there's gonna be a protest. Like that wasn't even close to my mind. Not even a thought. I see them. I'm like, you know what? COVID. Let's just be safe and go down the over by the Target.
Yeah.
We get down by the Target. We make the left. We're walking up, and it is a madhouse. The protesters were just organizing right there to. They were organizing on right in front of the little plaza where there's a mall, there's a Target, etc., etc. And on the other side, you could see them across the street, and they were on the other side of the line barrier. And I'm looking at both things, and I'm like, is this really like what's happening right now? Like, I'm seeing Trumpian flags, Blue Lives Matter. Like, I'm like, where am I, and why is this happening at 3:30 in the afternoon, 3:45 in the afternoon on a Nets day? Like, so now it's like the shock of it is, let's kind of stop walking fast because we were late. We slowed down, and amazingly, like, people started shouting at Trey because I told him to put on his mask. I always do that. Large crowd of people, he's not vaccinated, put on your mask. When I told Trey to put on his mask, it must have been a husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend. They were rolling together. They lost it, and then the people who knew them or were with them lost it too. You know it's child abuse to be forcing him to wear that mask. I couldn't believe it. And that's not even what scared me. Like, I bump into crazy people all the time. It's
Sure.
New York City. But what was really scary was that it seemed, and I'm not saying this is what happened, it's just on the Atlantic Avenue side of, the street, it basically, I saw cops watching as these protesters, and I don't like to call them protesters, bum rushed the main lobby. Did they get past the metal detectors? I don't know. I'm on the other side of the street. But that was enough for me to be like, okay, it's out of control now.
Oh, I didn't even know that happened. Wow.
So when I saw how many people went through the front doors, it wasn't like it was a lot. It's not like it was thousands, but it was enough. And then they had other people who were still behind the barriers on the other side, and I'm looking at them and going, this is like, if my wife was here, she'd be like, let's go home. And I had to wrestle with the disappointment of, it's opening day. I'm not getting a refund for these tickets. Thank God I didn't go ultra lavish with the tickets. But still, I'm not getting a refund for these tickets. I may not even make it home to see opening tip. But I looked at it and was like, if I go try to stand online with my unvaccinated son, and I risk him getting hurt because I'm basketball obsessed, I'm supposed to be managing his love with common sense. His love of basketball and everything else with common sense. And I just thought to myself how much I would hate it if his going to a Nets basketball experience was something really negative that made him scared of going.
Yep.
So, so I just was like, I'm not gonna try to be a hero here. I'm not gonna try to guesstimate how good, or I'm glad it ended up the way that it did. It didn't, no one got hurt. It wasn't a big deal. It was just more of a nuisance. But at that moment, I couldn't tell from Twitter if it was real, if it was not real, and I just was like, all right, I'm out. Like I was hoping someone would say something to me that would make me feel like it was under control. But the shocking part was that the cops just let it, like, they were on the sidewalk. I mean, on the street side of things, standing outside of their cars, and it's like they moseyed over there. They didn't run over. They didn't. They weren't. I just feel like they didn't spring into action, which is springing into action was seemed appropriate to me, and that's not what went on. And you want to know what? A lot of people around me didn't seem scared. Some people paused. You could even tell. Like by the time I got home, um, I saw the beginning of the game, and people still hadn't made it to their seats. Our seats was empty to start the first quarter, and the reason why was a lot of people were still outside,
Yeah,
and a
you
lot of
could. I mean, watching that, like it was clear that there was something going on because you know it was
it's just
quiet.
so disappointing in the sense of not nothing the Nets are doing, nothing Kyrie's doing. It's just disappointing that we live in a world today that you have to make that call. Like it's a basketball game, and so many people are have made this anti-vax thing a part of their identity that they could build a group, they could throw a group together. And you got your QAnon people out there. You have all of the internet information weirdos out there, and the disappointing part of it is that you could actually throw a group of people together that quickly to do that, and
Yeah,
that's dangerous. uh, it like I said, if it was just me, or if it was me and my wife or me and my boys, we would have went to that game. We would have went to that game. It's just, and I might have even overreacted if because I just couldn't tell if when you're talking to your conscious. I couldn't tell if my bias of it's okay, it's not, nothing's gonna happen. Let's just go in there. I had to fight that side of my brain to
right.
go. Nah, if something does happen, you saw the QAnon flags. Like I actually didn't. I actually heard about them after, but um, I just I don't feel safe. It's so crazy where people are always talking about pledge allegiance and all of those things. Like when I see a groups of people shouting and they're waving American flags, it's usually not a good thing for black people. So unfortunately, that
Yeah,
because of the times that we're living in, I just was like, "Yo, we're going home, Trey.
yeah.
It's too crazy." And we went home, and he didn't make a big deal of it. It was totally cool. We watched the game at home, you know, uh, but there wasn't much joy in the game. After me going explaining that whole thing, why don't you throw a big umbrella over? Give us the synopsis of what that game was.
I mean, look, like me and you in the spaces are, I think, consistently the two people that keep saying, in the games where they play the young athletic teams, they get exposed, and a lot of times you and I are ridiculed and say like, oh, like you guys are being like negative about this team. We're undefeated, and it's like we're not saying that a Hornets or a Hawks or whoever is better